How's it, folks? Recently there was a Discord Q&A with Emil, the lead designer, and Will, the lead quest designer for Starfield. They answered about 15 questions or so, and I'm going to go through them quickly. Firstly, can we buy houses or properties in main cities? Will said, yep, there's housing in different cities that the player can get. Some you have to purchase, and some are rewards for specific quests. And Emil said, sure can, you can purchase a dwelling in all the major cities in the game, and there's at least one that you can get specifically for completing something. Next question, if we get the kid stuff trait, will our parents be generated based on our character's look, or are there standard parents put in place? What benefits might there be? Will said, our programmers on our new face tech were excited to make a function that could try to match your custom face and then create the two parents. So they are based on what your character looks like, although the specific math involved is a bit beyond me. We had similar tech in our previous games. And Emil said, yes, totally, just as we did in Fallout 3 with your dad and in Fallout 4 with your son. In Starfield, if you take the kid stuff trait, your parents are based off of you. No spoilers, but I think fans will really appreciate the actors we got to play those roles, and they just get so into it. It's awesome. And then goes on to add, oh, and yeah, you can get some stuff. Next question, for those of us who have never played a BGS game and will be starting with Starfield, what information should we know that will make the experience more impactful right from the start? How deep should we go into creating our character's backstory before we start the game? And Emil goes, well, we always make our games for fans, both old and new, so you can jump in without ever having played a Bethesda title before. But we like to look at it less as playing a game and more about living in the universe we created. So settle in, go at your own pace, and pretty soon you'll learn all the systems and be adventuring through the settled systems the way you choose. As for going into a character's backstory, that's entirely up to you. I'm all about the headcanon. For example, my latest character is a working schlub named Mitch Dombrowski. He's a husky, good-natured space trucker, and while he'll do whatever he needs to defend himself, he'll never shoot first. He's like Han Solo's sweeter older brother. And yes, there are traits and backgrounds that support that kind of thing. Will said, while we do start you off in the same spot, what happens to you before the game starts is totally up to you and your headcanon. There is a trait and background system that will let you specify more about yourself, but you can also select an anonymous background and no traits if you want. In terms of if you never played a BGS game before, try anything. We are a simulation as well as a role-playing game, so we try to support the player doing whatever they want as much as we can. Next question, how will the smuggling cargo system work? Can we hide it somewhere on the ship and sell it for more currency later? Will said, certain items are considered contraband, and you'll need to smuggle them past security ships that are in orbit of major settlements. And Emil went on to add there are specific items that are considered contraband, meaning they're pretty much illegal everywhere, and yes, you can hide them using special ship modules you can purchase. So don't get caught with those harvested organs. And the economy is fixed, but prices of bought and sold goods can change based on the skills you choose. Next question, will there be a jail system if we committed crimes? Also, yes, you can elect to go to jail or pay a fine when you're arrested, or even resist arrest and try to escape. And Emil goes, yep, settled systems is more like Skyrim than Fallout 4's Commonwealth in that regard. There's civilization, there's government, and there are laws, and in a couple of cases, we actually explore the themes of crime and punishment in our futuristic universe. Next question is, will time pass when not in the game? For example, will my trade routes, outposts, and mining operations continue to produce, or does that only occur while actively playing? Emil goes, the sim only runs when you play in the game, no sleeping on the job. Emil goes, only when actively playing. Next question, can you be a double agent in the game? For example, if you join the United Colonies, can you also join the Crimson Fleet and give the United Colonies information? And what factions have that feature if they do? Will says, all of the playable factions can be completed independently. The Crimson Fleet storyline does feature you being an undercover agent inside the fleet on behalf of the UC SysDef, a specific military branch of the United Colonies. But whether you betray the fleet or UC System Defense, is a choice you will get to make. Emil goes, ha, that is exactly what you can do. Infiltrate the Crimson Fleet for UC system defense. It's specific to that quest line. In the studio, I have been half-jokingly accused of referencing movies that some folks have never seen because I'm old. So with this particular plotline, the inspiration was very much the movie Donnie Brasco, which is a true story of an FBI agent who infiltrates the mafia. How far will you go? Next question is, depending on traits selected during character creation, will it at all be possible to play through the game in a pacifist mode, i.e. without killing anyone or even potentially anything? Will goes, I can't guarantee every mission can be completed in pacifist mode, but we do have a couple of systems that will help. Our system is our speech challenge game, where you can persuade someone to do something like not fight you. The speech challenge game is added in specific scripted moments, and we try to add one into most quests where important characters confront you. And Emil goes, so we talked about this very early on during pre-production. Whether or not we would fully support a non-lethal playthrough, we realized that for various reasons that wasn't totally feasible. Now that being said, there are some good non-lethal options, whether through dialogue or by using a non-lethal weapon. Those can be used in certain situations, honestly a lot of situations, though I couldn't comfortably say you can complete the entire game without killing whatsoever. The settled system is mostly civilized, but it can be a dangerous place if you're going off the beaten path, and you're absolutely going off the beaten path. Next question is, what are the beliefs and basic history of the religions we can join, such as Sanctum Universum, Enlightened, and the Great Serpent? Emil goes, existing in real life religions are part of the Starfield universe, with folks of all religions and denominations out there, but we don't really focus on them. Instead, we highlight 3 new ones specific to the game. Sanctum Universum, the members called Universals, believe that God very much exists somewhere in the universe, that a higher power is guiding us all. Specifically, they believe that humanity's ability to travel the universe and grav jump is God's way of saying, I'm out here, come find me. The Enlightened, these folks are essentially organized atheists. They don't believe in any kind of higher power. Rather, they teach that human beings have to take care of each other, and they practice what they preach through various community outreach programs. And House Varun? So in the game, you're not really sure what the complete truth is, but the gossip among the guards is this. A colony ship sets off for a new world, making grav jumps along the way. After one of the grav jumps, one of the passengers claims he spent that time communing with a celestial entity known as the Great Serpent. What was a few seconds for everyone else was much longer for him, and he brought back a mandate, which is basically get on board or be devoured when the Great Serpent encircles the universe. Is it true? I ain't saying. So in the game, you sometimes face off against House Varun Zealots as an enemy group, and that's their motivation. I recently got the House Varun logo tattooed on my wrist, so yeah, I dig them. And well goes, the Sanctum Universum is only a couple decades old in our timeline, but has gained a lot of prominence. They believe that God is out there somewhere in the universe, and that humanity's ability to travel the stars brings us closer to God. The Enlightened are an atheist group that focuses on humanitarian and community work. They believe that life is something every person has to take responsibility for, so that if we want the world to be a better place, we have to do it. Next question, how many companions total will we be able to recruit? Will says there are over 20 named characters who can join your crew. 4 of them are from Constellation and have the most story and interaction with the player, but all of the named characters have their own backgrounds and can follow you around and carry your stuff. Emil goes over 20 total, and we really focused on the members of Constellation. When we first began Starfield pre-production, we looked back at our previous games and realized how popular and effective the companions were, so they were a big priority for us, and we really wanted to tie them directly to the main quest. There are some really big moments with them specifically. I should also mention that our companion voice cast is amazing. We haven't released the list yet, but you can be sure there are a lot of talented actors bringing those characters to life. Same for Constellation in general. Next question. When we assign crew members to work at outposts, do we have to pay them salaries? Emil goes, you can just pay them once. We actually experimented with paying them regular salaries, but ultimately decided to just have the one cost up front. There's a lot to do in Starfield, and we wanted to minimize what the player had to constantly keep track of. Will said, yep, one-time payment that you can use a speech challenge game to negotiate over. Some traits also affect the cost. Next question, will our companions be able to level up their perks, or will their perks stack with ours? Will said, all crews start with a set of perks at specific ranks. So you might meet a character that's especially good at rifles and you hire them to watch your back. Or you might meet an aerodynamics expert that will increase your grav jump range when assigned to your ship. Emil goes, they don't level up, but they come at different ranks depending on the companion. Well, we call them skills in Starfield, and they do stack with yours when relevant. Some are there for flavor to highlight the companion's backgrounds and interests, but you'll rarely feel that benefit of the ship and combat related ones. Getting a boost to your shields or seeing your companion laying down fire with a weapon they're proficient in are pretty sweet moments. Next question is, what are your favorite parts of the game? Emil goes, shipping it. But seriously folks, because of my position, my experience is a little different than yours. I won't speak for Will, but personally I've seen every quest line, every city, every major piece of content in the game at every stage of development. So my answer is coloured by that. For me, the real pleasure is seeing how they've all evolved into the versions they are today. The versions everyone here will play. I have a real soft spot for Neon. Getting that city nailed down took a lot of work by a lot of different people, and the result is really the cyberpunk settlement I always hoped it would be. I also love all the quest lines. I think they're the best we've ever done. The designers on this project totally killed it. Will said, I love finding content that I haven't seen yet or forgot about. Our games are so big that no one person is likely to have seen it all, even after all our passes and levels of review. Our quests really evolve over development, and it's great to see how everyone adds to them. Designers, animators, voice actors, lighting, everything. Next question, what books or movies had a big influence on some of the quests? Will says, I'm a history nerd, so I actually listen to a lot of podcasts like Hardcore History and the History of Rome. While our game is science fiction, I like how historians can tell you about how human beings react to extreme circumstances like war, famine, and technological breakthroughs. And you can imagine how we'd react to similar circumstances in a fictional setting, just at a grander scale. Emil, well, I'm a child of the late 70s, early 80s, and I have a very fond memories of the sci-fi of that time. So let me think. Star Wars, OG Battlestar Galactica, Space 1999, Buck Rogers, Battle Beyond the Stars, Ice Pirates, and let's not forget the classic that is Metal Storm, The Destruction of Jared Sin. I think I actually saw that one in 3D. But also much headier sci-fi stuff, like the writings of Arthur C. Clarke and Robert Heinlein, or films like Contact, Interstellar, 2001: A Space Odyssey, and even Event Horizon. In all of those examples, you realize that outer space is two things: a source of mystery and wonder, sometimes terror, and a giant blank page on which you can write any story. And we have written a lot of very different stories in Starfield. Next question, what are some favorite small details in Starfield to add to the immersion? Emil goes, I think what I really love is that although humans are living in space and our aesthetic is very much NASA punk, this is a very lived in universe and you can see it everywhere. You know everyone loves the sandwiches, but it's the books that are lying around, the notes on bulletin boards, the environmental storytelling that our level designers and world artists are so good at. Totally love the work from our voice actors too, and the music and sound effects and clothes. Will goes, I look really closely at all our outfits. You can see themes, materials, especially on the spacesuits. Constellation members have patches on their spacesuits and they're tied to what skills they have. We also love buttons. There's a lot of buttons. Emil goes, buttons. We do love our buttons. But I do want to mention this. If you haven't heard about it, Adam Savage and team are building a filming model of the Frontier. I'll have that linked in the description. And that ship, man, and all the ships, the level of detail is insane. And then the final question, what is the history of the mechs? Emil goes, oh, the mechs, good one. So we showed this a bit in one of the animated shorts. The mechs are leftovers from the colony wars. Note, it's colony war and not colony wars, singular. Both sides, United Colonies and Freestyle Collective, had mechs, but the Freestyle Collective really mastered them. The United Colonies had mechs too, but they also relied on the controlled alien beasts from the Xeno Warfare Division. Both of these were outlawed with the armistice that ended the colony war. I'm not saying there's an old mech battleground in the game. I'm typing it, winky face emoji. And then mechs not usable, no, they are in ruins. And then they went back to add a couple of more details to some of the questions they answered previously. So for question 4, Emil said, there are items with backstories, yeah, but can't be specific. Then for question 7, Emil says, I don't really want to spoil anything, so all I'll say is you have specific roles, jobs, missions in the faction questlines. The Freestyle Collective and United Colonies are giant organizations, and the work you do for them is important, but it's not like you gain complete control of those factions at the end of those questlines. As for whether or not the UC will be violently angry with you if you ultimately take the Crimson Fleet sides, yeah, they ain't happy. And then for question 10 goes, oh, in addition to the companions, you can also hire generic crew members to work at your outpost or on your ship. Question 13, I do different playthroughs with different characters. I always take my spy assassin dude. One of my characters now is a version of the barbarian character I play in all kinds of fantasy games. I have a scumbag space outlaw dude, all kinds of playstyles. Question 14, you do love writing in-game books. Also on question 14, Will goes, I was a fan of the Greek and Norse myths as a kid. The stories are very big and characters are flawed and have clear motivations. And then Emil on question 14, I love space games, love the original Elite and Elite Dangerous. Privateer was a huge influence. And then also love The Expanse. So yep, it has been an inspiration. So there we have it, folks. That's all the questions from the Discord Q&A with the Starfield devs. For those of you who aren't aware, preloading for Steam begins on the 30th of August, and Xbox and Windows should be today, 17th of August. I hope you all have a fantastic day. Take care, and cheers for now.